Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Philippines. Welcome to the 23rd webinar of the DOST Calabarzon in cooperation with the Food Safety Interagency Program of DOST 4A. In food safety, the use of regulated food additives beyond the permissible level is sometimes not safe. Today, we have our speaker from the Food and Drug Administration, Ms. Kismasita A. Oblipias, Food and Drug Regulation Officer, to talk on regulation and safe use of food additives.
Good morning to all of you. I hope this topic will be relevant to this food safety webinar because people nowadays are cautious in the food that they eat. For those food that are very colorful, they doubt if the food color that they use are safe. And those with conscious with the sugar that they take in, so they want or they look for beverages with 0 calories. And people are also concerned on the safety on the food additive that are added into food. And that is why this will be my presentation, the regulation and safe use of food additives. So for the presentation of my outline, I will have some introduction about food additives, the definition of food additive, its function on the food that it will be added, and the food additives that are commonly added into foods, and how are the food additives approved for use in foods, the FDA regulation in food additives, and of course the challenges as regulator we are facing too, and the issues and concerns on these food additives. So we all know that food additives have been used for centuries. And it is not a modern invention because food additives had been used years back ago, like in the Egyptian times, people always needed to preserve food after the harvest. And also, they use this food additive to enhance its taste and appearance. So they first learn to safeguard the food because they want to have that food for the coming, in preparation of the next harvest. So they start by salting and smoking of meat and fish. And then they have the desire to make that food look and taste better. So yun na nga, the ancient Egyptians used colors and flavorings in their foods, while the Romans also used spices as well as colorings. And so, before refrigeration has started, people are using salt because they want to prevent microbial deterioration on the meat and fish. So, next slide, please. So, I would like to define the food additive as any substance that is intentionally added to food for a technological purpose in their manufacture, in the processing, packaging, storage, and distribution of food products. And over the last 50 years, there have been development in food science and technology that have led to the discovery of many new substances that can fulfill numerous functions in foods. So previously that food additives are so expensive, but now they have several choices of food additives. What will be the intention of the consumer? What food additive they want, or what will be the desire for that food additive? So there are preservatives which are especially important to prevent microbial spoilage because these food additives will ensure the processed food will remain in good condition throughout its journey, from the factory to the shop and to the consumer at home. So with this, the help of these food additives, the consumer can taste fish that is in good condition, even though at their home because of the help of these food additives. Next slide. So, what are the functions of these food additives? You all know that food additives play a key role in maintaining food qualities and characteristics that consumers demand. These food additives are carefully regulated and they have general criteria for their use so that it will perform on the purpose and it will not mislead the consumer. So that is the very important thing for food additives. We don't want that they will mask any any good any inferiority of the quality of the food. So one of the function of this food additive is this one, to maintain the safety of food. So we have those preservatives that can slow the spoilage caused by mold, air, bacteria, fungi, or yeast. They can also prevent the cut fresh fruits such as apples for, for from turning brown when exposed to air. So we have those food additives as preservatives. The next is to improve the nutrient value. So we have vitamins, minerals, and fiber that are added to foods to help make up those lacking in person's diet or lost in processing or enhance nutritional quality of food. So there are food additives added into food because like in the food supplement, there are so many nutrient food additive that are added into it because as we know, hindi naman kompleto ang isang pagkain if we don't add any food additive that have nutrient value. And then also, these food additives are added into food to improve taste, texture, and appearance. So we have the spices, the artificial colors, and sweeteners which are added to enhance its taste, while food colors are added to enhance its appearance. Also, we have the emulsifiers, stabilizers, and thickeners to give food texture its consistency. Lastly, leavening agents allow baking goods to raise and other additives to help control acidity and alkalinity of foods. So, next slide. So what are these food additives that are commonly added to foods? So we have the antioxidants. So these antioxidants will prevent the oxidation of foods that results into rancidity or discoloration. They are also used in baked food, cereals, fats, oils, and salad dressings. So these are the uses of these antioxidants. So if we don't have these antioxidants, maybe the edible fats and vegetable oils will become rancid. So example of these antioxidants are the tocopherols. We have the BHA or the butylated hydroxyanisole and the BHT or the butylated hydroxytoluene. We also use as antioxidants the ascorbic acid. So it is not only used as to have vitamin C in our body. It is also used as an antioxidant and goes along with the citric acid. So which preserve the color of freshly cut fruits and vegetables. Next slide. So, and other food additives commonly added to foods are the preservative. So they have the function to preserve the or retard the growth of any microorganisms that are present in or gain in the entry to food. So it can help to prevent spoilage or even though the food poisoning. So some example of this one are the sulfur dioxide or the sulfites. So this help prevent the color changes in dried fruits and vegetables. It also inhibit the growth of bacteria in wine and fermented foods. Some some snack foods and baked goods. So it is commonly found in preserved fruits, mga dried fruits, dried mango, and other candied fruits. So we also have the calcium propionate. It prevents the bread and baked foods from turning moldy. And then we also have the nitrates and nitrites, which are the salts of sodium and potassium salts, meaning it can be potassium nitrate or sodium nitrate. These are used as preservative in processed meats, such as ham and hot dogs, to keep the products safe by preventing the growth of the botulinum bacteria, Clostridium botulinum, which is highly pathogenic. So slide number 8. So we also have the emulsifiers and stabilizers. The purpose of these food additives is to maintain good consistency, the texture, and to prevent the separation of ingredients in such products as margarine, low-fat spreads, ice cream, salad dressings, and mayonnaise. Actually, this is also important in the milk products. Actually, to have those several minerals or vitamins to be in consistency. So, hindi siya babagsak. Halimbawa, tinimpla natin yung mga milk products. We have the emulsifiers and stabilizers. So, they help the milk to be emulsified. So, it helps a lot, the emulsifiers and stabilizers, to help those minerals na matetake in natin in good condition. And then the thickeners. These substances increase the viscosity of the foodstuffs. So they are added into foods such as salad dressings, the flavored milk, like the gelatin or the pectin, are often used as thickening agents. So yung parang mga nagje-gel yung ating mga flavored milk drink, di ba? Hindi naman siya talaga free-flowing. They have that such consistency na maganda ang flow niya. Some some parang yung pagka-viscous niya is good enough. So we can drink it freely, parang ganon. So we use those thickeners. And slide number 9. So we also have the sweeteners. So we have the intense sweeteners that impart a sweet taste to foodstuffs and are useful in low-calorie products, especially for those, especially dairy dietary products, such as those for diabetics. Intense sweeteners such as acesulfame K, aspartame, and saccharin, which are, this acesulfame is 100 to 200 times sweeter than sugar. And then aspartame is 200 times sweeter than sugar also. And then the saccharin, so it is 300 to 500 times sweeter. So even though those like the beverages will have 0 calories, meaning they are using these intense sweeteners. So instead of using the ordinary sugar, they use this because especially for those who are watching the sugar level in their body. And then we have the flavor enhancers. So these probably the best known flavor enhancer is the monosodium glutamate or the MSG, which is used to bring out and enhance the flavors in food to which it is added. And then the colors. So this is to enhance the colors naturally, but at levels weaker than those usually associated at a given food. So sometimes it is added, these colors are added into the sweet preserves. Like sometimes they want the cherries to be look uh, in a good color, more red. So they are using artificial color if it to enhance the appearance of that preserve. Actually, there are other preservatives that are added into food, which are like the acidity regulators. They used to control acidity or alkalinity of various types of foods. So we also have like the anti-caking agents to keep powders free from flowing. They put it in sometimes in flour. And there are also some anti-foaming agents. So it can reduce the foam, especially when jams are boiled. And we also have some packing gases which are used in certain type of sealed packages. So makita nyo yung mga sealed packages, they are using some packing gases into that product so that the food in that packaging will be in good condition, uh, as you can see in the expiry date. So it can help preserve those packing gases, those that are packed in packaging. And then next, uh, how are food additives for use in foods? How do we approve these food additives actually? Because those food additives, if they are in the registered products that we have approved, we determine also the approval, if it is approved in Codex. So we normally use as reference that international standard or Codex, and we are also aligned our standards on food additives in Codex. So this Codex standard is recognized internationally. And then, so that's why the FDA sets safety standards also. We determine whether the substance is safe for the intended use because these food additives will have its own function. So these food additives, we don't allow these food additives added into a food without its normal function. So dinedetermine namin talaga na ito ba inilagay sa food product nito with an intended function. So as you can see in our standards, every food additive has its own function. We do not allow food additives added into all food products. And then we have the post-marketing monitoring. So if one food product has been registered in the FDA, we evaluate all the additives added into it. Then at post-marketing, our inspectors will collect food products that have been registered to FDA. And then we monitor if the label claim in the laboratory will determine if the food additive added into that food is still conforms to the FDA standard. So we have the confirmatory test for we collect in the market, in the manufacturing side. So in that way, we can check also the food products that the consumer are buying in the supermarkets, in the even though in the sari-sari stores. And then we have a rigorous testing that is done in our laboratory to determine that the amount of the food additive is in the safe level. So we are using the standards with the maximum level of the food additives in every food product. So different products has different level of food additives. Additionally, the food manufacturers must approve to FDA their products is safe before it is put in the market. So, meaning all the food products that are given registration are are certified by FDA as safe because we determine what are the ingredients they have added, including the food additives. Next slide. So with our new Food and Drug Administration Act 2009, which actually renames and reorganizes BFAD or BFAD to FDA. So we are the same organization. It's like na pinaltan lang yung name into FDA. So with this act, it strengthened and rationalized re- uh, the regulatory capacity of FDA in the regulation of establishments and products and under its jurisdiction. So we are planning to have more employees like inspectors and analysts so that we can really monitor all the products in the market. So to ensure that the food we are serving to the consumers are safe. And so we will also establish standards and quality measures for food and adopt measures to ensure pure and safe supply of food in the country. So we will be having a research laboratory so that we will be focusing more on the safety of the food products and not only on the quality. So kasi sometimes you are caught that there are some additives added into foods that we are not ready. So we want to capacitate ourselves more to be more not reactive but proactive so that we can assure before an issue makarating sa atin, handa na din kami and fully capacitate. So we are planning to have a better food and drug. Next slide. So, with the product jurisdiction on food, we actually FDA have several centers: Center for Drugs, Center for cosmetics, and we have this. And one of the centers of FDA is the Center for Food Regulation and Research. So this CFRR. So CFRR shall regulate the manufacture, importation, exportation, distribution, sale, offer for sale, transfer, the promotion, the advertisement, and sponsorship, and or where appropriate, the use and testing of food products and food dietary supplements. So this one center really is in charge for the insurance of safe food products. So the functions of the CFRR. So we have the evaluation that analyze or inspect the respective health products for the purpose of issuance, authorization, registration, and license. Meaning, we have evaluators that evaluate the product registration before they will be issuing a certificate of registration or the license to operate for a certain manufacturer. So we also develop standards and regulations for health products and establishments. Actually, these health products, this would involve the mandate of FDA is to regulate health products. These health products involve food, drug, cosmetics, household hazardous, and others that can have effect into our health or body. So that's what we call health products. And then we establish and maintain PMS in monitoring health products. So the post-marketing surveillance. And then we conduct the appropriate tests on all applicable health products as needed prior to the issuance of appropriate authorization to ensure safety and quality of food. So we do the testing. Actually, we accredited private laboratories and government laboratories to help us or to assist us in testing those health products that are being registered to FDA. So next slide. And then we have this new Food Safety Act of 2013. So the objective of this Food Safety Act is to strengthen the food safety regulatory system in the country. So the state shall adopt the following specific objectives. To protect the public from foodborne and waterborne illness and sanitary, unwholesome, misbranded, all adulterated foods. It will also enhance industry and consumer confidence in the food regulatory system, and also to achieve the economic growth and development by promoting fair trade practices and sound regulatory foundation for domestic and international trade. So this Food Safety Act um, is a joint activity of the Department of Agriculture and the FDA, because we are looking to the safety of food from farm to the port. So it's a joint activity of DA and FDA. Next slide. So these are the regulation on food additives that we are using in FDA. So we have this Bureau Circular 2006-016, the list of food additives. So this BC 2006-016 listed the food additives which are present and have no appreciable risk to the health of the consumer at the proposed level of use as found by JECPA. So this listing of food additives is aligned to the international standard that have been assessed and found safe by JECPA, or the joint experts of Codex on food additives. So the permitted levels or maximum levels of use in foods of food additive shall not exceed the prescribed ADI. So they have each food additive for particular food category have their own permitted levels or maximum levels to ensure that will not exceed the ADI or the allowable daily intake of food additive. And then we ensure that the food additive has a food grade quality and conform to the specifications and identity and purity recommended by JEFA. So before they allowed to use that food additives, FDA determined that these food additives conform to the specifications for the identity and purity. So each food additive that are allowed to be used in food are food grade and have the specifications which can be downloaded on the website of Codex. And also our regulation on food additives. If we don't have regulation on that food additive, we refer to the Codex standard for food additives, because there are food additives that we have not listed on the current list of this BC 2006-016. So some food additives that are not listed on this Bureau Circular, we refer to the Codex General Standard for Food Additives. Actually, this is online. You just click on Codex GSFA and you can see the list of additives that may be safely used in food, which I told you have been determined to be safe by JECPA and have been assigned an ADI. And then we refer or we adopt the Codex standard because this is the single authoritative reference point for food additives. So this is the one that has been recognized. Also, if we want to export our food products into other countries, if they know that the standards is aligned, or the product uses the food additive that have been referred in Codex, it is allowed to enter in their country. So this prevents the issue on trade. Actually, being chairman of the subcommittee on on Codex on Food Additives. I attended meetings for this Codex meeting. So we have positions uh, on what food additives to be added into a food product. So I'm attending the Codex committee on food additives, wherein we participated in setting the standards of these food additives. If we, so that's why we are following this codex, because we also participated in setting the standard of this food additive. So this is JECPA, the Joint Expert Committee on Food Additives. This is the expert on food additives. They are the risk assessors. So if you want to have certain food additives to be assessed as safe, we are referring to this JECFA. So the Codex Committee on Food Additives refer any food additives to be adopted as a standard to JECFA. So these international experts is administered jointly by FAO and WHO. And this is the source of independent expert advice to Codex on the safety of food ingredient in foodstuffs. Establishes the purity specification of food additives. So, ito talaga sila yung nag-establish the what you can download in the website of Codex. The purity and specifications of food additives are established by these JECFA experts. It contributes to the establishment of standards for protection of consumer health and for ensuring fair practices international trade of foodstuffs. Next. So, as you will notice the ADI in the previous slide. So, what is an ADI? The acceptable daily intake, or ADI, is defined as an estimate of the amount of food additive expressed on a body weight basis that can be ingested on a daily basis over a lifetime without appreciable risk to health. So what is this without appreciable risk? Meaning, based on the current knowledge, certainty that no harm will result even after a lifetime of exposure to the chemical additive concerned. The ADI is usually expressed in milligrams per kilogram body weight per day. So before we have these maximum levels for each food additive per food category or per food product, we determine that the food additives that will be added into food will not be ingested by man that will exceed the allowable daily intake. So because if there are 200 ppm of certain food additive in the beverages, and then if you will take in more than if you will take a normal if you will drink that soft drinks like the benzoic acid, something like that, we have a certain level on a soft drinks, and then we know that a man can consume one bottle or 350 ml. So we determine that benzoic acid, the maximum level on that food product, if consumed in a daily basis, will not exceed the allowable daily intake. So we really determine the maximum level of its food additive in a certain product. So this was done by the risk assessors. So before we adopt a certain maximum limit for a certain food additive, we refer to the assessment of this JECFA expert. Since actually we are planning in the Philippines to have these risk assessors, a group of person that, because sometimes may mga bagong food additive na gustong ipasok ng ating mga manufacturers. But then, we cannot easily allow those food additives to be used in a certain food product if they don't have this risk assessment. So they have to prove to us that if it will be taken by a certain individual, it will not exceed the maximum level of or the ADI. So even though that food additive is allowed to be used, it cannot be used in other food product if you don't present the the risk assessment. Yes. So sometimes there are some manufacturers that want to use or to replace the currently used food additives. So if they can provide us or present us some proof that is safe or will not exceed the ADI, we also allow that one. Next, an example of this one, the use of carrageenan. Actually, during the 79th JECFA meeting, uh, carrageenan, the use of carrageenan was allowed to be used in infant formula for special medical purposes at concentrations up to 1,000 milligram per liter is not of concern. Actually, this was my experience since I was attending the Codex Committee on Food Additives. Year 2012, several countries have concerned on the safety of this carrageenan, especially for infants of 3 months old because since it is one of our major agricultural products, we have to protect our industry of carrageenan. So, before it will be removed on the standard in infant formula, we have proposed that we will submit data that it is safe for infants on that age of 3 months. So, with the help of our other countries in the manufacturers in US that are using carrageenan in their milk products, we volunteered that we will submit data, and with their help, we were able to submit data on JECFA that the use of carrageenan in infant formula is still safe. So last 2014, this result of the 79 JECFA meeting came out. So they have concluded that this carrageenan is safe. So that's it. So now we are now fighting for the standard of the infant formula and formula for special medical purposes that carrageenan be still to be used in these products. So that's it. So that's why we are attending Codex meetings so that we can support our products. So it's not yun. Medyo matatalo tayo ng ibang bansa because maybe they have some stabilizers or emulsifiers that they want to push through in the Codex standard because Codex standard ngayon na nga recognized internationally. So next, what we are doing in post-market monitoring. Example of this one, we have public warning. So example of this one, more processed food products in NCR, Cebu markets are found positive for the presence of toxic non-permissible colorants. Actually, example this one are the bagoong. So we have found that they are using food colors that are not listed or not permissible to be used in food products. So sometimes you will notice yung pink na pink yung mga bagoong natin. So maybe para lang masabing fresh, they are using some food colors that not are allowed to be used. So also, again, another example is the use of industrial grade coloring dyes by food processors. Some like those we have an issue on spices and seasonings. Sometimes they are using industrial grade colorant like Sudan 1, 2, 3, 4, and then they have some methanol yellow like that. So we are also monitoring the spices in the market. They can be allowed to be used food colors, but siguraduhin lang nilang food grade ito. Yun lang naman. Then we have ban on food products contaminated with maleic acid. So maleic acid, I think this one is they are using this in sago to have a more maybe a good texture of the sago. And then safety of soy sauce in the Philippines, the issue on the 3-MCPD. Actually, 3-MCPD is a contaminant already. So because parang ito is on manufacturing, they are using a rapid hydrolyzed protein, which is not allowed. Maybe it has it has some issue on our health, the 3-MCPD. So every time we are registering the soy sauce, we need to have them tested for the absence of 3-MCPD. Then we also have this presence of toxic substance, uh, melamine in infant formula and milk products. So this melamine is not an allowed food additives. There was an issue on that this melamine were put into the milk products in China. So yun, medyo talagang na mobilize lahat ang ating mga yung other government agencies. We protect the sa custom talaga naki-coordinate kami na not to allow imported milk products without certification that it is free from melamine. So in order na dito lang yung i-monitor natin yung within the country na. So ayun, nag-develop din. Ganon, pag may mga isyong ganito, ito yung sinasabi ko, doon kami nagde-develop lang ng mga method, then we purchase standard because we do not know what will come. Ano talaga yung magiging issue kasi because of the advancement of science and technology, lots of people are developing new products na hindi natin inaasahan gagamitin nila sa mga food. Siguro, marami na talaga ding mga genius na pwede nilang i-alter yung mga food additive na allowed na gagamitin nila ng iba para lang mapaganda yung mga produkto. So yun nga, parang dito kami magkakapacitate ang FDA. We will do more on researching. That's why we are accrediting the laboratories that will help us in post-monitoring. And then FDA will be focusing on more on research. Especially para, yan na, para maging proactive kami sa mga ganitong issue. So, what are the challenges that FDA is facing as regulator? The harmonization efforts, actually there are several food additive standards. We have the ASEAN food additive standards. We have the Codex standards. So, we want to harmonize, especially sa Asian. Sana gusto namin yan sa mga Thailand, sa mga Vietnam, iisa na lang standard natin para during the international conferences, we are united, we are harmonized. Kasi mas maganda yung laban natin sa ASEAN. Pagdating natin sa international, mas maganda ang suporta. Parang na-adapt agad ang standard ng ASEAN pagdating natin sa international standard like in Codex Committee. So, every time may mga ganyang meeting, pinipilit nating suportahan kung ano man yung position natin. Like yung nga sabi ko sa Karachinan, without the support of other Asian countries, hindi din siya makikilala. So, ganun ginagawa namin. Before we attended in the international meeting, we have the harmonization or meeting with the Asian countries. And then the new food products, siyempre ito na nga, madaming mga ingredients, mga bagong technology. Gusto nilang mapaganda na maganda-maganda ang mga food products natin. Mas colorful, mas siguro, mas matagal ang pag-preserve mo siya, baka ilang taon. So, more on that ba? Para, and katulad sa melamine, ang ginawa nila just to increase the amount of nitrogen in milk products. Naglagay sila ng melamine. But then, yun nga, sana, with those new technologies, sana tingnan muna nila kung safe ba ito na ilalagay sa pagkain because dun talaga kakainin siya ng mga consuming public. So, siyempre, pag new product, bilihan ka agad. Sana nga, bago mailabas sa market, yung maingatan natin ang mga food products na ito. And sana i-register sila, don't buy foods na hindi registered sa FDA. So, ganun. And then, new patterns of distribution and consumption. So, yung sa distribution, sometimes kasi may mga importer. They want to distribute imported products like minsan hindi nakakadaan sa FDA. Siyempre, hindi naman lahat gusto nilang, kaya naman dala-dala nila from countries na pinanggalingan nila and they want to distribute it. And then, for the consumption, siyempre, nowadays, marami talagang kumakain sa mga restaurants. Hindi naman natin control yon kung ano man yung idadagdag nilang additives so that the food will taste better. Yun nga, mga flavor enhancers. Madami silang inalalagay. So, sana nga maging vigilant din yung mga tao kung ano talaga yung kanilang mga kakainin. And then, increase in size and diversity of the food industry. So, ayan, dumadami na talaga ang mga food industry. So, that's why we are capacitating FDA to have more inspectors. So, yun, sila yung pupunta sa mga manufacturers. And we will be able to license or the food manufacturer. So, ngayon talagang nag-open kami ng mga ngayon, ang mga positions for new employees. So, we're trying talaga to increase employees of FDA. And then for the issues and concerns. So, our issues and concerns are the differences in standards among exporting and importing countries. So, yung nagkakaproblema yung mga exporter natin tsaka importer. We want to export in Europe. So, they have a different standards. So, yan, isang issues yan ng mga exporter. Sa importing naman, sometimes the food products coming into our country, the additives are not allowed in our country. So, that's it. One issue. And then, exporters are not updated with laws, rules, and regulations of importing countries. So, ayun, dapat exporters are responsible to comply with regulations of importing countries. So, sana maging aware ang mga exporters to the laws na kung saan ba pupunta yung mga products nila. So, ayun, to avoid detention of goods. Sometimes kasi nade-detain yung mga food product nila, hindi makakapasok sa bansa nila, ibabalik. So, yun, may mga return shipment because of non-compliance. Actually, compliance dito. Pagdating sa ibang bansa, hindi compliant. So, those are the issues and concerns of the food manufacturers or the exporters. So, that's my presentation. Will there be any questions? So, thank you for sharing with you the safety of and use of food additives.
Okay. Thank you very much, Ma'am Chris Masita of Lepias, Food and Drug Regulation Officer of the Food and Drug Administration. So we are now ready to receive questions from our viewers. And we have several questions here. First question, ma'am, from Diane Zapata. In reality, many food products that are in the market nowadays are not FDA registered. Does FDA monitor this as well?
Actually, we are coordinating with the LGU because we are not monitoring those food products or the street food. So, because actually, we have only few inspectors. So, with the new Food Safety Act, we are coordinating with LGU for their help so that merong magmo-monitor for those food products that are not registered with FDA. So that is in the IRR of the Food Safety Act.
So the LGU will help
Yes,
you
the
on
LGU.
that. Okay. So, ma'am, another question from Miss Olivia Domingo. FDA should monitor food products, especially from China now.
Okay. Um, Actually, those food products na imported from other countries, before they can distribute those imported products, they have to secure license as distributor to FDA. So I don't know those food products that are not uh, that yung hindi na-register ng mga distributor. So yun yung nagiging kinokolekta din namin sa ngayon kasi nga masyado na kami sabi nga may mga pag may nakita ng gano'n na hindi siya registered, kinokolekta na rin basta nakikita ng inspectors namin. So hindi naman din namin pinababayaan kung halimbawa hindi nakikita ng LGU, kami na din mismo pinupuntahan na din namin. Ang katulong din namin diyan kasi mga NBI, mga PNP, sila yung nagmo-monitor and they bring those food products to FDA for analysis. So, yun lang yung nagagawa din namin. So, sana nga talaga ma-regulate din namin yung mga food products from China. Talagang masyadong madami na din yung mga food products na nanggagaling doon.
Thank you, ma'am. So, another question po from Wilma Del Rosario. Yun po bang organic meat kapag nilagyan ng food additives will lose the criteria on or quality of food that are considered organic?
Meat products. Actually, yung meat product sa ngayon is sa NMIS. So, hindi na namin sakop ngayon yung mga meat and meat products. So, maybe baka on the later years, it will be returned back to FDA. But then, according to organic, actually, organic have some criteria. How will you consider a food product to be organic? Kasi hindi kami nagre-register, hindi kami nagse-certify that that food is organic. But maybe, if you add some food additive to those food additives, wala dapat eh. Kasi organic siya. And sometimes, these food additives are not naturally grown. So, ang alam ko sa organic, naturally grown. If this is chemically processed, hindi na siya magiging organic. Sometimes, mayroong mga food product organic siya kasi ang ginamit niyang sugar or food additive like stevia glycoside, according to them, it's natural. So, but if you process that stevia, not really coming from a leaves, actually stevia is coming from the leaves. So, kagatin mo lang siya, ang tamis na daw yun. But then, if you process it and add to a food product, nagiging synthetic na siya. So, that's maybe, siguro yung nature na idadagdag mo sa organic products. Yun, hindi siguro masisira yung pagiging organic ng isang produkto. Kasi paano nga mape-preserve yung mga products? Siguro sira ka agad. From farm, dadali mo sa mga groceries kung hindi mo siya dadagdagan ng mga preservative. So yun, depende sa pagiging yung idadagdag mo sa mga organic products. So yun, hindi kami nagse-certify ng mga organic products. Yun lang, wala sa amin yun. Meron yung certifying body for that.
Thank you, ma'am. So another question again from Ms. Diane Zapata. How is public warning done? How do you determine the effectiveness of these public warnings?
Okay. In public warning, yun nga, if we have anong nangyayari niyan, we have a product recall. So if there is an issue, we meet. So, nagkakaroon ng product recall. So, kinokolekta namin yung mga product with some issue. And then, we verify kung talagang meron siyang issue on that food product or kasi kadalasan yung mga issue kasi nanggagaling din sa mga sa mga internet na ganyan, merong food product na contaminated, bine-verify muna namin siya kung talagang yung mga particular food products came into the Philippines. So, imo-mobilize namin yung mga inspectors to collect those food products and then we verify kung talagang meron and then bilisan din yung pag-re-recall namin and then we parang yung mga concerned importer o importer ng mga food products na yon na merong issue, nagre-recall agad sila from the market. So, hindi na nagdi-distribute. So, nangyayari, pag nag-public warning na kami, naka-hold na yung mga food products nila. So, ang titingnan na lang namin, meron pa ba sa market na gano'n, ng mga food product na may issue. So, ang nagiging nangyari yan, kung effective ba siya, yun nga lang, nade-determine namin, wala talagang nagiging case sa atin. Parang kasi nga, na-hold namin kaagad. So, binibilisan namin ang nagkakaroon ng voluntary recall. Kasi kadalasan nagkakaroon naman ng issue sa abroad eh. So, iniiwasan lang natin, makapasok sila. So, controlled agad siya from the importer. So, ayun, yun lang yung nasasabi namin effective ngayon. Then with our website, doon kami nagpa-publish ng mga warning. So, yun na, wala cases like melamine. So, wala naman tayong case talaga kasi hinuhold agad kasi namin. Yun lang yung nagiging effective na. So, pag nag-public warning kami, inililist namin ano ba yung mga affected products with specific lot number or batch. So, yun lang yung nagiging may recall kami, may food recall.
Okay po, ma'am. So another question po, tungkol naman po ito sa synthetic rice. Are synthetic rice approved by FDA? The question is from Emily Ona.
Okay. Actually, wala pa kami. Yung rice kasi is under NFA. And then, sa food and drug, yung process. So, yung aming binibigyan ng registration are the fortificant added into the rice. So, kasi yun ang process eh. Yung fortificant, fortified with iron. So, yung rice as is, hindi namin na-analyze. So, wala kaming specification for rice. Siguro, ang amin na lang, halimbawa, sinasabi niyong synthetic yung rice. Maybe the specification would come from NFA. So, they are more mandated on rice. So, alam nila yung specs. Kahit mag-analyze kami, siguro na specification na sa NFA. And then, kung gusto lang ipa-verify, halimbawa, meron ng synthetic rice, so that's the time we will come in na i-analyze namin ano ba yung ginagamit that it becomes synthetic. So, wala pa kaming regulation and synthetic rice. So, siyempre, synthetic rice, wala kaming inilalabas about synthetic rice. So, wala kaming allowed synthetic rice. I don't know. Maybe, siguro nga, wala din ang NFA. Lahat natin, yung inaani. Baka parang, hindi ko din alam kung ano itsura pa niya.
Okay, ma'am. Ito pong next question is from Edna Apanay. How about milk tea ingredients? Are they also approved by FDA?
Yes. Yes, milk tea ingredients because milk tea is because they are mini-mix nila siya sa mga stores So what we registered are the ingredients. Yes, we have registration for those milk tea ingredients like yung mga shake, yung mga powder, yung mga syrup. So we have registration on those food products.
Okay, ma'am. We have here some more questions from Jasmine Doana. How near are we sa harmonization efforts of the regional ASEAN standards for food additives?
Actually, harmonization of these standards is still going on. We have not come up with harmonized food additives. It's still going on. I think the standards for Thailand, for Malaysia, we are still going on harmonization, and also the laboratories, the method of analyzing. I think this November, ASEAN countries will be coming, and we will host the ASEAN harmonization, especially on testing, or the harmonization on the laboratories. So, yun na nga kasi minsan magkakaroon din ng iba't ibang method on analyzing those in the standards because sometimes they have a very low level of standards. So we want to harmonize that it can be also analyzed. So i-harmonize ang methods so that all of us can analyze the standards, maybe like the lead. Kung 0.5 ppm ang dating standard ng lead sa canned fruits, it will be lowered down into 0.3 lead. So we want to harmonize those standards if we are capable also. So we're looking into that. So yun, siguro still ongoing yung harmonization.
Okay po. So it's still work in progress.
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay. So another question po from Hasmin Duanal. Dumami na po ba staff ng FDA to do post-surveillance monitoring?
Mm. So, ngayon, since na-approve na yung business plan namin. Actually, na-approve na eh. So, we are now doing yung nakita ko yung change management team namin. So, nagmi-meeting na sila. We are looking for the qualification standards of the employees because we are really now hiring more employees. Really, kasi ka-approve lang. Kahit kami naging FDA na noong 2009, we have to ask for the additional staff. Siguro yung mga, di ba doon natin, yung mga position level. So, ayun, approved na siya. So, siguro ito yung second batch na to eh. We have hired last year. Now, second batch, we have another. So, it's a 5-year plan. So, 5 years siya, mapupuno. Ang alam ko nga, 2,000 dapat kami eh. So, hopefully.
Okay. So, we'll just hope and pray po na after 5 years, okay na po ang ating workforce sa FDA. So, last two questions, ma'am. Okay. From Charmaine Kapagnan, what are the plans for the harmonization of the different regulations pertaining to food additives? Some countries kasi have their own regulations and may not follow codex standards. And of the moment, what is the status of the harmonization? Nasagot ko na ho ata yung kanina. It will greatly help the industry if this will push through.
So, yun nga, yung harmonization, yun nga pinipilit natin, mga Asian countries, sometimes kasi tagang hindi nagpa-follow. That's the time when we go to the international meeting, if we the ASEAN countries have harmonized standard, we can prepare positions so that we can ask the international body to accept our position. Because actually, when we attended the Codex meeting, if the industry are using that food additive at that certain level, you just justify and give a position paper so that if you have scientific data, it can be accepted internationally. So yun ngayon nagkaka-problema. Sana nga ma-harmonize natin yung mga food additives natin with international standards. So ang purpose kasi talaga ng Codex, walang trade barrier. So that's why FDA is harmonizing with Codex unless there are certainly some standards na specifically in tropical countries like us. But you can justify. We can justify on that. So sana nga ganun para walang magka-problema. So ngayon nga, kina-encourage namin ng industry kung talagang may additive kayo na ginagamit nyo, ibigay nyo lang sa amin kung ano man yung position nyo. So, ang kailangan kasi namin, yung position that you are using and magkaroon kayo ng assessment na talagang hindi lalampas sa allowable ADI, yung mga food additive na gusto nila. So, yun.
Ma'am, this is the last question. Okay. From Meldic Felicilda, many food additives are coming from China. Are these additives or ingredients monitored by FDA?
Okay. Those food additives, yun na nga, kung magre-register kayo ng food products sa FDA, ang unang tinitingnan dyan is yung mga food additive na added. And then from that, hihingi yung certificate of analysis that it conform to the specification set by JECFA. So kasi, yun, lagi kong sinasabi, specification and purity standards set by JECFA kasi wala pa tayong capacity na to do risk assessment kasi may mga toxicological effect yan. And since meron na, so parang ang ginagawa natin, parang hindi na masyadong magastos in the part of the government. So, nagre-refer na lang tayo sa JECFA standards kasi nga, talaga namang pinag-isipan, pinag-aralan yung mga standard na yun. So, ang nangyayari dapat, yung mga food additives before they are used in our product, talagang hinihinga ng certificate of analysis na it conforms to the standards we are using. So, ang daming China, hindi lang namin masigurado. Pag yung talagang pumapasok na unlabeled, hindi namin alam kung ano ba yun. Minsan, baka nasa mga backyard manufacturer, yung mga Madami kasi yung nagsasabi sa amin, may nagmamanufacture ng mga ibang, mga kung ano ng product. Wala namang label. So, pag kinolekta mo siya, hindi mo malaman kung ano talaga yon. Saan kami mag-start? Ano ba talaga yon? So, yun. Kung ano yung mga purpose, kailangan malalaman namin kung saan ginagamit. So, yun na lang. Siguro, dapat din, from the consumer side or from the, siguro, yung mga nakakita, pwede naman yung ipa-analyze, especially sa mga accredited lab. Kung talagang may doubt kayo do sa mga food additive na yan. So, ini-encourage namin kayo. Siguro yung mga food additive, mga accredited lab naman namin is capable to analyze those food additives. So, if not, pwede din naman nilang dalhin sa FDA for to confirm na doubt kayo sa nakita nyo o kaya binebenta na lang kung saan-saan. Yun.
Okay, ma'am. So, napaka-interesting talaga ng ating topics. So, sa amin pong mga viewers, if you still have some questions, pwede po nyong i-post pa po iyon and we will give it to our speaker para po masagot later. Later na lang po yon. So, I think this ends our webinar for this 23rd webinar. So, again, we would like to thank our speaker, Miss Chris Masita Oblepias of the Food and Drug Regulation uh, of the FDA. Okay. So, again po ma'am, maraming salamat.
Thank you
And
po.
to our viewers, we will have again another webinar this August. So, watch out for our next topic. Again po, marami pong salamat sa inyong lahat at magandang umaga. In behalf of DOST4A and the Food Safety Interagency Program, magandang araw po sa inyong lahat.